This is Real Deal Sports Talk with KP, September 20, 2018.
Mr. Green.
I'm vowed to be the nicest. On the mic it with rhyme right in my mind states God cipher divine righteous. This is the sound of refinement. Extra time spent on every line written. You can hear the difference when I'm rhyming. The barbarian rap writings like Clash of the Titans. I wield the pen like Poseidon holding the golden triton. On the mic I strike faster than vipers and flashes of bolts of lightning. My poetry will leave the Pope enlightened. Whack rappers is past time. You paid the Pied Piper as the price just skyrocket. I stand to make a profit. I rap circles and spirals above your favorite artist like an identifiable flying object with balls so far over your head. I'm honest to be rhyming in high orbit. If I dumb the metaphors down, you think the sky was falling. Rappers' arms too short to shadow box with the lords in the pantheon of rap. I'm the high exalted. The new God flow, prepare your offering. I treat the booth like the synagogue cause the mic's my calling. I should congregate a following. Although agnostic, you felt the flow was God sent, further personifying my Messiah complex.
And welcome in. This is Real Deal Sports Talk. I am KP. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's Thursday is going well. We're nearing the end of the week. We got more sports coming up this weekend. College football's back. Baseball's heating up. NBA, NHL right around the corner. All these things going on. We got a lot to get to on the show today. We're going to be talking baseball. We're going to be talking Week 3 NFL. We got NBA coverage. We got movies we're going to be talking about. UFC stuff we're going to be talking about. We're going to get it in today. We're going to try and get it all in today. But we're going to start off with the, baseball. We didn't get to baseball on Tuesday, so I said I'd get to it today. So we're going to start the show off with baseball today. Right now, most teams, they're at about 10 games or less left in their season. So it's fair to say we can start to assume at this point where the playoff teams are going to be if they haven't already clinched their spot and or their division at this point. Boston has clinched a playoff spot in the American League East. They're at 103 wins right now. However, they have not clinched the division. The Yankees are 9.5 games back. So if somehow Boston manages to lose every game for the rest of the season, New York happens to win every game for the rest of the season, you could see some movement there. Otherwise, I see it. Boston's going to win the East. The Yankees are going to be one of the two wild card teams. And too bad for Tampa Bay that they're in that division, because if they were in a few other divisions or in the National League, they would either be a wild card team and or division leaders right now. Cleveland has wrapped up the Central Division. They have a 14.5 game lead in the division, so that division's theirs. They have a playoff spot ready. The rest of the teams in that division, why talk about them, because they failed miserably this year. On the AL West side, where Houston and Seattle at different times this year kind of gave Houston a little bit of a scare, made a little bit of a run. Houston now does have a 4-game lead in that division with the highest run differential in baseball at plus 242. This is just a solid team. They're not going out trying to, be world beaters and set the world on fire, get the record for the most wins in the season. Their goal is to go out, win their division, play solid baseball, have everybody healthy, and be ready to play when it comes down to it. And when you have a plus 242 run differential, when you have their pitching staff, when you won the World Series last year, you've got some good stuff going for you. Now Boston, great pitching staff, 211 run differential, positive. But you saw what happened to Boston last night against the Yankees. They got blown out while David Price was on the mound. And I've been a David Price guy, but it seems like the moments against the Yankees are too big for him. So I think, and I'm going to say this right now, Boston, they're going to be the team who gets the most wins in the regular season. They will not make it to the World Series. That's my prediction. The other wild card team right now, it's looking like Oakland unless something falls apart there. So we can expect Oakland to play New York, Cleveland to be playing Boston, and Houston will take on the winner of the Yankees and Athletics play-in wild card, whatever you want to call it. National League side, the Braves have a 5.5 game lead over Philadelphia and a 7-game lead over Washington, who a lot of us thought were going to win that division this year. Philadelphia had a good first half, came back down to earth heavily in the second half. And Atlanta's sitting firm right now. They haven't locked up the division with 10 games left and only a 5.5 game lead. But again, it's going to take something special for that situation to change. We can all assume at this point that the Atlanta Braves are going to go ahead and win another National League East title after, their absence from that position over the last several years. In the Central, Chicago's played pretty solid throughout the season. They're sitting at 89 wins right now. They only have a 2.5 game lead in the Central, however, and Milwaukee's been pretty hot as of late. More than likely, the Cubs pull that one out. Milwaukee's going to host the wild card game. St. Louis has kind of calmed down here recently. They still have that second wild card spot in their pocket as of today. 10 games left, 2-game lead over the Rockies for that final wild card spot. The Dodgers, they're putting it on the division right now. They went ahead and swept Colorado to put themselves at a 2.5 game lead in the NL West. 156 run differential, World Series team last year. Kershaw's starting to pitch better. Burrow's starting to pitch better. Puig is hot right now. Everything's kind of clicking for the Dodgers right now. And hey, they got 7 guys on their roster who hit more than 20 home runs right now. There's how you beat this team. That's why they've scored so many more runs than the other teams. You keep them from hitting the long ball, you've got a chance against the Dodgers, period. Rockies were not able to do that. Nobody's really sure why they pitched to Puig in that situation and didn't just give him the base and try and get the double play with the next guy. Bud Black trusted his guys. It didn't work out. They now find themselves needing a lot of help and to get hot in the last 10 games where they have been very cold for a while. They've been at a negative run differential all season. The Rockies are at a -9. Normally we can say their pitching is what's failed them, but their pitching has been good this year. Their young pitching outside of John Gray, who's been up. Well, he kind of went down, then came up for a little bit, and is now back down. But their pitching's been, good enough to be a competitor. Their hitting has definitely let them down this season. Not being so cold at the beginning of the season, not taking advantage of opportunities. Turner being down, Kershaw being down. Machado wasn't on the roster yet. The Dodgers started off extremely slow, nowhere near the start that they had last year. And these teams just were not able to capitalize on that opportunity there in the West. And the Dodgers, they figured it out. They came back, and they've put themselves in a position now to not only win it, but to go ahead and compete for that National League title for the second year in a row. And, I mean, you just can't hate on them for that. They're playing well at the right time of the year. They figured it out early. And, I mean, there they are. They're leading the West by 2.5 games. Unless they falter, they're going to win the West. The Rockies need help. They need to win out. We'll see if they can create a playoff spot for themselves. I just don't see it happening at this point. I think they're dead in the water. I think the morale's too low. I don't think they're going to be able to go ahead and go on some big run in these final 10 games. Now, I'm sure many of you guys have heard about the guys Louis Ikazui and James Armorall, Red Sox fans who found their 2018, so this year's AL East championship banner on the side of the highway. Interesting story. Let's hear what they have to say about it.
Now we have our coffee. We're driving on McGrath Highway in Somerville, and I noticed a couple cars swinging, like moving to the right, and we seen something in the street. And he's like, "Louis, what is that? What is it?" I'm like, "I don't know. What is it?" So I ran across the highway to grab it. We brought it in the car. We had no idea what it was. It was wrapped up in a brown paper bag. First thing I said, this belongs to the Red Sox. This is for Fenway Park. Yeah. Like, how do we have this? Like, nobody made this. This belongs to the park. I'm thinking that they hang it off the Green Monster. Yep. We want to give it back to them because it belongs to them, and it doesn't belong to us. Yeah. But in reciprocation, we would like, maybe to go to a nice playoff game, or we're looking for something. We just don't want to hand it over to them. Right. I mean, we need to negotiate here. We want to. We're looking for
We're working too.
Yeah.
I mean, my man had to run across 3 lanes, traffic.
But we know that that's the original one.
We were told there was only one made.
Yeah, we were told there was only one banner made.
So at that point, that tells us. But then they told us they had a duplicate. So if they do try to put a duplicate up, best believe we're going to show show up and say,
we have the right one.
that's not the right, that's not the original.
So we're hoping that they don't make one and they put the right one up.
We're hoping they do the right thing. You know, we did the right thing. We could have kept it. We could have put it on eBay. We could have, you know, we got connections where we could have reached out to other sources. We're big supporters of the Red Sox.
And we want to see them win, and we want this banner to go back on Lansdowne Street or wherever it belongs.
So yeah, we two guys from Boston, you know, we found this banner on the side of the highway, and we know it's not ours, but we want to get something for it. We want to return it because it's not ours, but we should get something because, you know, we walked too, and we had to run across 3 lanes of traffic to get it off the side of the highway. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. You went from being the fans who were going to save the day and bring the banner down to Fenway Park that the Red Sox can display for years to come to being these guys who are what? Trying to fleece the organization, and you're going to somehow hold it ransom and get something and put out a YouTube video and talk to the Washington Post and all these other people? No, what you should have done, and you more than likely would have been rewarded for this, is when you found it, you drive your happy little self down to Fenway Park or Red Sox offices or wherever. You get somebody to come down. You say you found this thing. And while you're face to face, you say, hey, you know, is there any way we could, you know, get a ticket or something? You know, we're huge Red Sox fans. We wanted you guys to have this right away. We didn't want it to get destroyed. We found it on the side of the highway after it fell off the truck. And we love the Red Sox, however you want to put it. More than likely at that point, the organization goes, hey, guys, this is great. What a story. Definitely we're going to host you for a game. But instead, you put out this video and this, you know, we got these other connections we could have taken. We could have put it on eBay. Are you serious? That basically would have been stolen property at that time. They could have come after you. Your sale would have been null and void. Oh, we was going to go to the park, and if that wasn't the original, we was going to point that out. Guys, come on. Louis, James, you're better than that. You were like halfway right in your situation finding that banner on the side. You spoke to the Boston Globe. The video's gone viral. But you did all of that before you approached the team. Come on now. Come on. You're 44 years old, Louis. Either keep the banner, keep your mouth shut, have a great story, or go give it back right away. And if you get something for it, great. And if you don't, just know you were the fan that saved the day. And you still got a great story out of it, right? Right. So that's that story. That's what those guys had going down. Lucky day. I mean, really, if it really was wrapped up in a brown paper bag, who stops to see what's in a brown paper bag on the side of the highway and runs across 3 lanes of traffic to get it? Like, come on now. I don't even know if I believe that part of the story. For all we know, these are 2 guys who took it out of the back of the truck that was delivering it. But whatever, it's all said and done. The Red Sox said thank you. They, to this point, have not offered these 2 guys anything for finding the banner and returning it the way they did. We'll see. And again, looks like the Red Sox are going to move on. They should, by all means, win that division. It's hard for me to pick MVPs or World Series picks right now. If I had to pick a World Series pick, I'd probably go with a rematch of Houston and LA right now, or maybe Houston and Chicago. I don't think Atlanta's going to come out of the National League. I don't expect Boston to hold up in the playoffs. I have this weird feeling that something's going to go wrong for them. The Yankees could sneak in there. Houston kind of has the Yankees number, though. So if I had to pick right now, I'm going to go Houston and either Chicago or LA. National League is a little harder for me to pick. MVPs on both sides. You know, pick somebody from Boston, either Betts or Martinez should be MVP. National League, probably Javi Baez at this point because he's been consistent throughout the year. Where Carpenter got hot in the second half. Nolan Arenado was real good in the first half. Trevor Story got good, but now the Rockies are going to be out of it. So you got a conglomerate of guys. Somebody's got to win it on the National League side. Somebody from Boston's going to win it on the American League side. All right, let's move into football. It is week 3. We got the Browns and the Jets tonight. This is the first time in I think about 2 years that the Browns are going to be favored for a game. And I understand why. This is a team that if they had a kicker, groin injury or not, if they had a kicker, they'd probably be 2-0 right now. They'd be sitting on top of the AFC North. The Jets, they put it on the Lions in week 1 because the Lions played like garbage. They came out against an average Dolphins team last week and got it handed to them. Everybody wants to anoint the Jets quarterback, Darnold, like he's the next coming of Jesus or Joe Namath or, name your character. I said let's wait till he faces a good defense that's playing well. This is going to be his top test of the season so far. Short week, a tough Browns team that's going to make you beat them. They're coached well. They're aggressive. They're young. Defensive side of the ball, they're solid. Offensive side of the ball, they're still kind of developing an identity, but you see where they're going with it. You see that Tyrod Taylor, he is the leader of that team. Baker Mayfield's going to be able to watch, observe, and learn and grow, and more than likely he's taking over next year or even maybe later this season. We'll do picks later here right after we go through all of the games, so I'm not going to tell you who I have in that one. On Sunday, you have a NFC South matchup, the Saints at the Falcons. These are two teams, story of 2 different weeks, story of 2 different seasons, really. The Saints' defense and young stars that propelled them to that 11-5 record last year hasn't started quickly or even good so far this year. Mike Thomas, ridiculous. Him and the connection he has with Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara. They're still waiting for their other running back to come back from suspension. So that offense is going to pick up more and more throughout the year for New Orleans. The Falcons, I really just think their problem is their offensive coordinator. They have some guys on defense, but that's where they should be building. Their offense is stacked, and Sarkisian, he sucks. He is a horrible offensive coordinator. There's a reason he's left every stop he's been at. Maybe he was better in the college game where there's, the talent is a little more spread out. I don't know, but his reputation from USC to Washington, Alabama, and getting picked up by Atlanta, I just never understood it. I never saw the results. I never saw what made him so great other than, he had worked on these teams that had a bunch of guys. And he's proven right now that, to me anyway, that he's not the right offensive coordinator. This Falcons offense has so many weapons, it's unbelievable. They're not putting up points and getting over on people. Packers are at Washington on Sunday. Aaron Rodgers still playing on that hurt knee, but getting it done. And like I've said, week in and week out, the Packers will be as good as Aaron Rodgers can make them. The Colts and their surprise offense, Frank Reich, going back into Philadelphia to face his former team that he helped lead to a world championship last year. Everybody's touting Frank Reich right now and what he's doing with that Colts offense, talking about how they've got defenses just scratching their heads, not really knowing what's going on. So we'll see. I mean, this is an Eagles team. They're going to try and get after their former coach. They got Carson Wentz back this week. Alshon Jeffrey's not back. They bring Jordan Matthews back into the fold. They're talking about working out Jerry Maclin again. We'll see. The Bills at the Vikings, that's not even going to be a fair matchup. Raiders are taking on the Dolphins. These are two pretty evenly matched teams, but the Raiders going from the West Coast back to the East Coast to play in Miami in September. Those are always hard for West Coast teams to travel down there in that humidity in September. We'll see how it goes for this Raiders team. They can't get a pass rush. And a Dolphins team that, they don't beat themselves. I mean, what can you say about them? Broncos are at Baltimore. That should be one of the better games of the week. Baltimore getting it handed to them last week by Cincinnati. They're going to definitely want to come out at home and hold turf. They're a physical team. They're 4-1, I believe, or 5-1 against Denver all time in Baltimore. Denver has struggled playing in Baltimore against that defense, against their size, against that physicality. And we've seen the Broncos get off to slow starts 2 weeks in a row. Now, Baltimore's offense is chaotic at best right now. They're trying to figure out how to use 2 quarterbacks at a time. Broncos' offense is getting better. They're starting to find plays they can run. Phillip Lindsay's a stud as an undrafted rookie. They're going to start getting Royce Freeman more involved. And I do expect that with the Ravens' top corner, Jimmy Smith, still out, that the Broncos are going to have a pretty decent time of passing the ball around like Cincinnati did last week. Cincinnati is going to be taking on Carolina this week. This game intrigues me. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because the mystique that Carolina has this great defense with the points that Cincinnati put up last week. I just think this is a good game. I think there's evenly matched teams on both sides of the ball. And this also could be a very good game this week. The Giants are going back to Texas to take on Houston this week. And again, the Giants are a team, to me, it's baffling. They have all these weapons. You would figure they would have come up with a scheme. Shermer comes out today and says he believes his offensive line can block in the run game and the pass game and that he is not worried about it. Well, he's probably the only one, because that's really what's hurting this team. Eli, before he gets the cadence out, has a look on his face like he's about to be killed. He does not know where the rush is going to come from on any given play because of the way that line is played the last few seasons. And he's jaded right now. He's shell-shocked. He's waiting to be hit, and he's not doing what he did to make himself Eli Manning, and that is not having the Manning last name. He was normally so cool under pressure and so emotionless on the surface that he could play, get out of spots, and or make the right decision. And right now, he's just taking hits. He's just taking sacks. He's throwing the ball away. He's not even able to get enough time to get the ball to all these weapons. And I'm starting to think they're going to have to pass to open up the run, because teams are going to key on Saquon Barkley right now. They don't believe that offensive line and Eli Manning are going to be able to produce. So they're keying on Saquon Barkley. We're going to load the box. Our pass rush, we're going to beat up your offensive line, and we're going to dare you to try and pass on us. And right now, the Giants have not been able to figure that out. Titans surprise win last week over the Texans. They got another division matchup this week against the Jaguars. It would be a huge shock if the Titans were able to pull this one off this week. Haven't heard if Mariota or Gabbert's going to be a quarterback. Leonard Fournette, he's still dealing with his injury for the Jags, but they have that defense that's just an all-world defense. 49ers at Chiefs. Story of young quarterbacks. Story of young upcoming offensive coordinator against the tenured all-around Andy Reid offensive coordinator. Marcus Goodwin, Tyreek Hill, who's faster. Well, Marcus Goodwin's got an answer for you. He just said, look at my arm. I've been to the Olympics. Where you been, cheetah? So this is a team, again, the Chiefs. If you can stop them from making big plays, because they will live and die by the big play this year. If they have to dink and dunk and slow the game down, the Chiefs are going to struggle. 49ers, they don't have a lot on either side of the ball. They got a 6-year plan they're trying to enact. And right now, they're figuring out who's going to be part of that 6-year plan and who's not. Jimmy G finally took his first L. Young team with the Chiefs. If their defense was halfway good, marginally good, this is a team I would say right now is going to compete in the Super Bowl and not for a Super Bowl. Because with their offense, with their speed, with their use, they're not scared. They're going to go out there and they're going to sling it around. They're going to be brazen. They're going to do their thing. It's up to you to somehow slow that down. Battle of L.A. as the Chargers are taking on the Rams this weekend. We all saw what the Rams did to the poor Cardinals last week. Didn't allow them to cross midfield until the second to last play of the game. Basically coasted on offense by putting up 34 points. But different story this week. Chargers are a better team. They have Phillip Rivers. They have Joey Bosa. They have a defense. They could, I could see a situation where the Chargers get over on the Rams. Aqib Talib, in his time in Denver, struggled guarding Keenan Allen, so he could have a big week. Melvin Gordon, nobody knows which week is going to be his big week. And as long as you have a quarterback like Phillip Rivers, you're going to be in every game. Todd Gurley is Todd Gurley, best running back playing right now in the NFL. Le'Veon Bell's not playing. Jared Goff owes his career right now to McVay. McVay coming there as the head coach has saved Jared Goff pretty much. Cowboys are taking on the Seahawks in the game of who wants Earl Thomas. Do the Seahawks end up losing a few more? Do the Cowboys pony up and give the Seahawks the picks they want for an Earl Thomas? Both teams, in my opinion, are about 5, 6, maybe 7-win teams this year. The Bears and that defense, poor Cardinals. Poor Cardinals. You had the Rams defense last week. You got the Bears defense this week. You got people calling for a new quarterback. Give Rosen more reps. Take Sam Bradford out. David Johnson, year out of injury. Offense isn't pumping. He's not getting going. The offensive line, again, here we're back. I'm seeing a pattern as I'm breaking down these games a little bit. Offensive line isn't good enough. Offensive line isn't blocking enough. What does that go back to? That goes back to our conversation about these teams not playing football in the preseason anymore. All of this walkthrough. Let's run the plays. Let's be in shorts. We're limiting padded practices. That's why it's taking these offensive lines 5, 6, 7 weeks to get going. Because they don't have the ability to pound on each other, to battle, to figure out how I'm going to play next to this guy and battle. They don't get the chance to. So the season starts and the skill position players sometimes look great, and sometimes the quarterback is in sync with his receivers. And the secondaries can look good because they're basically just flying around. But the defensive line and offensive line play so far, over the last several years since they made this change of padded practices, has hurt. And it's not as good. And it's a subpar version of NFL football for the first few weeks. So do we need to get rid of the preseason? No. We need to let these guys play football. Patriots Sunday night in Detroit. Detroit's got another nationally televised game at home. This one doesn't look good. I have been seeing, however, that some people think that Detroit's offense is going to run all over the Patriots secondary. Hey, even Rob Parker this week has come out and had something good to say about the Lions in this game. I don't see it that way right now. Like I've told you, as a Lions fan, normally I pick them every week. Right now, I'm at the point they need to prove it. I need to see play on the field. I'm not just blindly picking them every week because that's my team. That's not being real. That's just being a blind fan. And I'm not going to do that. So, coming into this season, did I think the Lions had a chance in this game? Yes, I thought they had a chance. I thought they'd be competitive. So far, through 2 games of this season, small sample size as it may be, I don't have high hopes for this game. Your best defender's out. Your second best defender's injured. After that, you don't have a best defender. Offense is not clicking right now. Run game was supposed to be better. Patricia going against McDaniels, who hired Patricia on in New England. I mean, here we are, Patriots East, Patriots West. Who's going to win Sunday night? We'll find out. And Monday night, the Steelers, who are just falling apart, complete train wreck right now, taking on the super hot, super swaggy Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night. All right, that's the schedule. That's where that's at. Here's my picks. Here's who I'm taking in all of those games. I will take Cleveland over the Jets, the Saints over Atlanta, the Packers to beat Washington, Philadelphia over the Colts, Minnesota over Buffalo. I will take Oakland on the road in Miami. I'll take Denver to get one in Baltimore. I think Denver's a little bit better overall team. Carolina over Cincinnati. I'm taking Houston this week and not the Giants. They have lost my faith so far. Kind of like Detroit. I need to see them get better. Jacksonville over Tennessee. Kansas City over San Francisco. the Rams over the Chargers, Seattle to beat Dallas with some Russell Wilson magic because he seems to have their number. I'll take Chicago over Arizona, Pittsburgh to surprise Tampa Bay, and I have right now New England beating Detroit. Those are my picks. That's how I see Week 3. Now, I saw this story this week about Ryan Fitzpatrick, a little stat sheet, and how he has more passing touchdowns. I think 16 more passing touchdowns. Yeah, 16 than Troy Aikman, Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, in 44 less starts. He also has more passing touchdowns than Joe Namath, Joe Theismann, Bart Starr, all these other guys. Well, Aikman clearly got his little feelers hurt because he responded to it on Twitter and said, "Who cares?" Well, here's why people care, Troy. You were on one of the best teams of the 90s. You were not, by any means, one of the best players on that team. You were very much benefited by the best offensive line, one of the best running backs, a top receiving group, and a solid defense at the early part. As soon as those things started going away, all you had was your legacy from being on those great teams. You weren't a good quarterback after that. You didn't lead your team to playoff victories or even the playoffs after those teams started falling apart. Yes, you have 3 rings and Ryan Fitzpatrick has 0. Yes, you've been an all-time starter and Ryan Fitzpatrick has been on all kinds of different teams as a backup and a starter. But guess what? You have low yards for a Hall of Fame quarterback. You were 37th all-time in yards. You know who's ahead of Troy Aikman in passing yards all-time that's not in the Hall of Fame? How about John Haddle? How about Tony Romo? How about Steve DeBerg, Jim Everett, Jay Cutler, Matthew Stafford, Joe Flacco, Matt Hasselbeck, Donovan McNabb, Dave Craig, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Kerry freaking Collins, Vinny Testaverde, Carson Palmer. I mean, come on. Some of these guys, it's laughable that you're going to sit there with an attitude that somebody compared you to Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's playing out of his mind right now because he's got a better stat than you do. When it comes to touchdowns, guess what, Troy? You have low touchdowns for a Hall of Famer. 71st all-time, where Fitzpatrick, who's still playing, and he's a backup, and he's this journeyman guy, and he's considered to be bad, he's at 56th, way ahead of you in all-time touchdowns. Guys that have more touchdowns, I mean, the list goes on and on as far as those guys. But here, again, Vinny Testaverde, Dave Craig, Tony Romo, Len Dawson, George Blanda, Donovan McNabb, Jay Cutler's got more, John Brody's got more, Matt Hasselbeck has more, Jim Hart, Kerry Collins, Randall Cunningham, who's not in the Hall of Fame, Jim Everett, Roman Gabriel, Ken Anderson, Steve DeBerg is ahead of you in another category, Joe Ferguson, Norm Snead, Bob Greasy, Sammy Baugh. These aren't guys who were considered all-time great quarterbacks, but there's a lot of people that got better. Craig Morton, Steve Grogan, never heard of that name. Maybe I should have. Rich Gannon, Jaworski, Babe Pirelli. I mean, some of us have never heard of these names. Charlie Connerly. I still haven't gotten down to Troy Aikman at 71 yet. Brad Johnson, John Kitna, and Brad Johnson got more touchdowns than you, and you got the nerve to get upset that somebody brought up your stats? Are you kidding me? You are the benefit of being on one of the better teams all time. Period. That's who you are. If you look at career passing yards of these two guys to this point, now, Troy's career was, granted, cut short due to concussions and injuries and stuff like that. But like I said, after that team fell apart, Troy wasn't going out there and lighting the world on fire and leading this team to a bunch of W's. It wasn't happening. They weren't winning championships after that team fell apart. Now, he does have 32,000 yards on his career, where Fitzpatrick only has 27,000 currently. We already established Fitzpatrick has more touchdowns on his career. So, I mean, you could basically say these guys are the same player. Ryan Fitzpatrick just wasn't the benefit of being on one of these great teams. So Troy, I'm sorry, you look petty on this one, bud. You need to take a step back and let it go. Big news coming out of the UFC. We're going to switch corners from the NFL to the UFC right now into the Octagon. I don't know if you guys saw the press conference today. I did not. It was supposed to start at 3 o'clock. I waited till 3:30. You're a half hour late. I have no interest. I'll catch up on the press conference for UFC 229 a little later. But USADA has come down with their ruling on Jon Jones finally. He is eligible and cleared to return on October 28th. They said it's retroactive back to when he was first suspended in July of 2017, 15-month suspension in the ruling. They also said they don't think he did anything intentionally to try and cheat because they could not determine the source of the illegal substance. Now, what is Danny Cormier? Last time we saw them, Cormier is crying after the fight. He's lost 2 straight. So here's his reaction to the news that Jon Jones has been cleared to fight again starting October 28th.
I'm the UFC double champion, right? I have bosses in the back, and I'm talking about this guy because I have to. I've moved past that. I mean, I went about my business, I went and won another title. This guy, I guess, now his suspension's up. So we'll see what happens. Is there a fight that could happen between you guys at this point? I mean, I think people get excited. People get excited about the prospect of us fighting again, but I've got to fight with Brock Lesnar. Why would I look back? Why would I look back to Jones now when I've got to fight? I mean, obviously as a competitor, I want to fight the guy. He's beaten me twice. But I've got to fight. Why go back? This is a bigger fight. I've got a bigger fight with Brock Lesnar. Why should I go back?
Now, it was a little rare that we see this, but you said they believe Jones was intentionally cheating. What do you thought of that?
Again, it is what it is, but here's the deal. When it comes to USADA, they can't come to my house anymore to see us. I mean, what's the point? They've been to my house 15 times enough. USADA, don't come to my house anymore. You don't need to come. I'm not going to fill a test. I'm not going to make any mistakes. I'm not going to have to sit up there and go, I'm serious this time, guys. I promise I wasn't really trying to cheat. It's never going to happen. 70 times since I started wrestling internationally, I have never made a mistake. It's not that hard. So if we have to sit here and do this again, it shows that, you guys are amazing.
So that's Daniel Cormier talking with Kenny Florian there on their UFC show. And to me, he basically avoided the fact that, hey, last time, he beat you twice. Why look back? Why? Because he beat you twice, and the last time he beat you, you sat there and cried in the ring as a fighter. That's why. That's why people want to see this fight again. That's why people are getting excited. Because right now, to most fight fans, you're a paper champion. You're just a wrestler. You're not a complete fighter. You keep losing to the complete fighter. So now you got this fight against a much bigger guy who could probably just pick you up and toss you around, who is equally as good of a wrestler as you were. And if it weren't for health issues, maybe he decides to go Olympic wrestling. But he's a bigger guy. He's a stronger guy. I don't think you have the knockout power for Brock Lesnar. I don't think you can beat Jon Jones at any point. You've been beaten handily twice. So go ahead, sidestep it. Talk about your bosses in the back making you talk about it. Talk about how this is a bigger fight because of the name of Brock Lesnar. But really, the big fight for you would be beating Jon Jones. Would be saying, yes, when I'm done with Lesnar, I'm going after Jones, and I'm going to beat him this time. That's what the champion should have done. Not trying to downplay it, not trying to take a shot that you've had 70 tests and passed them all. There's a lot of guys who have been tested that much. So what? You're a fighter. You're in a different sport, buddy boy. It's time to bring it. So go ahead, go fight Brock Lesnar in this publicity thing where it's probably set that Lesnar's going to win one of your titles so that he can be the two-sport champion for a little while and make both facets some money, even though he's kind of a joke at this point, ever since he had to battle diverticulitis a couple times. And because of the way his WWE career looks like. So, I mean, come on, man. You got beat twice. You the champ. Step up. Act like the champion. We got champions going at it October 6th in UFC 229. Again, I'll have to catch myself up on that press conference with Khabib and McGregor from earlier today. Space Jam 2 has been announced to come out. Space Jam came out in 1996 with Jordan, Bill Murray, Larry Bird, Oakley, Harper, Del Harris, and a whole lot of other people. There was the Monstars, Ewing, Barkley, Bogues, Sean Bradley, and LJ. Star-studded, Looney Tunes. I enjoyed the movie. It was fun to watch. It's a good basketball flick there for Jordan and Warner Brothers. So now LeBron James and his entertainment group, Ryan Coogler of Black Panther is going to produce. Terrence Nance of Oversimplification of Her Beauty and the sketch show Random Acts of Flyness is going to be the director. But who will LeBron have in the movie with him? Will it be some of the Banana Boat crew? Will we see a CP3, Melo, D. Wade? Are we going to see some of the younger guys like the unibrow Anthony Davis? Will we see a Jimmy Butler, a Steph Curry? Maybe Durant will be in it, or Giannis. Will some of his LA teammates make it in? Or maybe a Kevin Love from Cleveland, Kawhi, Draymond, Boogie. I mean, the list goes on and on. Even today it was reported that Jordan might be involved in this movie. So am I looking forward to it? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll go see it eventually. I'm going to watch it. Jimmy Butler has asked for a trade. Apparently he would like to be traded to the Clippers, who can get 2 max guys next summer. The Nets, maybe because it's in New York, and or the Knicks, because there is the possibility of Kyrie coming over, as that's been talked about as the Knicks' top option in free agency next year. Jimmy Butler is only a 16.4 point per game career average guy. He's been hot the last few years, being a 20-point scorer, making some big plays. He was the beneficiary of being in a big market in Chicago where a lot of guys got to see him play. His time in Minnesota has not been good. Maybe sleeping with teammates, girlfriends. Been in the playoffs every year, though, except 15 and 16 since he was drafted in 2011. And his playoff points career average is actually higher than his regular season by 0.3 points. So he's pretty much the same guy, whether he's in the playoffs or the regular season. He's getting you about 16 points per game. Similar players to him throughout NBA history. You got like a Rudy Tomjanovich. Kevin Love is a very similar type player. As far as production is where I'm going with this. Pedro Stojakovic. Horace Grant actually put up similar numbers. Sean Kemp, Grant Hill, Kawhi is putting up similar numbers on his career right now. So, I mean, is he a good player? Yes. Is he a world beater, all-star, best player in the league type guy? No. He's definitely a second-tier type guy. Great player, can make some all-star games, things like that, but definitely a second-year guy. Whew, we got it all in today. That's the show. We hit every topic that I wanted to get to, so thanks for listening. You know how we do. Until next time, just be real.
D-Town, can you vibe to this? A D-Town getting down to this. Can you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd was lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. And D-Town's in here. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pivot's hitting like a pound of bricks. Took a powerful rip and felt like a time traveler trip. My mind drifting to the cloudy abyss. Till my chalice a sip. Chicks admire how I'm styling my fit. I acknowledge with the smile of a prince. Can tell I'm piling my chips. The party's rocking, everybody was bent. Nobody wildin', ain't no violence in here. We all lounging for real. The smooth sounds got us vibing and shit. In D-Town, steady riding to this. Can you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd was lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. In D-Town's in here. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pivot's hitting like a pound of brick. Can you get down to this? The party's rocking and the crowd is lit. The beats knocking in the sound system. In D-Town's in here. We hit the lick to get some crown to sip. The pivot's hitting like a pound of brick. Can you get down to
living
this?
Life to the fullest, it's an everyday philosophy. Walk up in the spot and get the party popping properly. Ain't no beef now, we just chilling inside. All the energy is positive, we feeling that vibe. Politicking with my people, we get the reminiscing how we flip the whole script. Now we in better position, still be on a mission, turning dreams to fruition. Getting street knowledge, no fees, intuition. Think about the future, how we need to teach children. Already reached thousands, we about to reach millions. Break the glass ceiling, how your ass feeling? Like a superhero on these comic book villains in the Mile High City. You know we stay blazing. I'm high off this life though, the feeling is amazing. Never had nothing, now every day is celebrated. Glasses elevated tonight, we get elevated.